time, we'll go ahead and, well, hold on. We'll go ahead and get started. Let other people join as they can. Welcome to this final session of Messy Conversations for summer. At least if you're in Southern California, it's a muggy late July day. So thank you for coming out and participating in this special Messy Conversation where we acknowledge the 3 years of work that we've all been doing together, acknowledge one another, and try to gain some clarity about where we want to head going forward. A couple of quick announcements. One apropos, not much, except me, is August 1st, we have a full moon, super moon, and then we'll have another full moon August 30th, which will also be a super moon, but not just a super moon, a super blue moon, which I think that means it's turquoise or something. So there's that. More important than that, you have probably received emails requesting that you RSVP for a very important event, August 20th, which is a Sunday, where we'll be marking Al Erdnast's 50 years of service to Antioch University and Antioch, Los Angeles in particular, as the founder of the undergraduate studies program. So please look for those emails and RSVP. I think the deadline for RSVPing is the 4th or something. And then the event is Sunday, August the 20th. And be great to see everybody there and celebrate Al. Last announcement before we get started is this is our final Messy for the summer. So we won't be meeting in August or September, and we'll come back together in early October, where our first Messy Conversation for the fall will focus on Indigenous Peoples Day and issues around Indigenous folk here in the United States. So with that, we've got a busy program that's both presenting things to you and asking you to be engaged in things. And the first thing we want to do is have some of our OGs with Messy Conversations talk about the origin story. And today we have Anna Kwong and Sara, Beth, Lohre, and myself. The other original member of Messy Conversations was Kirsten Grimstead, and she couldn't be here today. So Sara?
Thank you, David. I love to tell stories, and I found myself in a group of folks who is even better at it than me. So I'm going to leave the other parts of the story up, but I just wanted to note that my remembrance of this day that we're talking about is one of the first meetings that we had as undergraduate faculty across the West Coast to really think about what do we want to do, and this is something that Mihi brought to us faculty that was really meaningful and important. And I think that spirit of collaboration and vision has been really important to our group as we've gone along through these Messy Conversations. That's what I'll say.
Thank you, Sara, Beth. Anna?
Thank you, David. I remember 3 years ago, the start of the Messy Conversation marked a new journey for me. It was an action that took in a leap of faith to embark on this very meaningful and yet very challenging topic. It has been an honor and one of the most humbling experiences I have been through. 3 years since we started, my sentiments have been bittersweet. At one moment, I feel strongly we have been heard and things will be so much better from now on. But then the next moment, things returned and I'm at a loss again. But I'm glad to say that overall, my experience have been more than positive. I don't know what it takes to end this fight started 100 years ago and no signs of subsiding. I don't know where it will take me, but I don't want to remain silent anymore. I don't know how long it will last, but I pledge not to let go of this fight as long as possible. Before ending, I want to thank all my colleagues, my OG, and all my faculty, and every one of you who come to the Messy Conversation constantly, who have been forever patient with me as I bring in a different cultural background, interpretation, and grief on this topic as an Asian immigrant. I'm grateful to the students, Jacqueline, Rose, Nabi, Supetran, and our beloved Clarence, who have supported us through and through, and to all of you who regularly visit us. I've learned a lot, but there are still more to be learned and digest. Nelson Mandela once said, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. So I see a vision that we will love each other a lot more. Thank you.
Beautiful. I would second everything that my colleagues have said and just offer this in terms of the context. You know, we were however many months into the pandemic and still reeling from that and trying to figure out how do we do our jobs, whether as students or staff or faculty in this new situation. And pardon me. And then on Monday, May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was murdered. And starting the next day, BLM responses in terms of protest in Minneapolis, and those were spreading all over, including here in Los Angeles and Seattle and Santa Barbara. I remember being in class with students, and we could hear the people on the street outside their doors while they're trying to be in class and banging on their doors and shouting and all kinds of racket, and just such a mess of a moment in so many ways, such an important moment. And then as my colleague said, you know, we were in this meeting, UGS cross-campus meeting, one of the earliest ones. And I've been at Antioch a long time. I don't know a lot about Antioch, but I know this, that if you want to do something and you're willing to expend your energy, sweat, tears, blood, Antioch hardly ever steps in the way, hardly ever says no. And I think many of the best things that have happened at Antioch have been because of that people have just said, well, this needs to be done. And we did it. And that's how Messy started, with the four of us, including Kirsten, saying, yeah, we don't know what we're doing, but let's do it. And we started this up, and here we are 3 years later. So thank you for that. Next up, I believe, if I have my agenda correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Elaine is going to say a quick word about the independent study project option for students with Messy Conversations. Elaine?
Thank you, David. I'm not sure of many of, first of all, welcome everyone. It's great to see you, and it hardly seems possible that it's been 3 years. But one of the great components of the Messy Conversations is David structured this independent study, and I thought it was a unique opportunity when he asked me if I would like to facilitate. And it brings together, so one unit independent study, and it brings together small groups of students to really share thoughtful conversations about race and anti-racism and anti-Blackness racism. We meet 2 or 3 times during the quarter. The students attend each Messy Conversation, and then they have an opportunity to come together to talk about the particular messy conversations. They have a chance to journal, and also we read together Kende's book on how to be an anti-racist. And what we found is students can really open up, and they have thoughts about how they deal with it personally at Antioch, and being individuals that are engaged, and really find ways and means to look at their inner strengths and how they can grow. I want to take this opportunity to invite any students that might be of interest. I think you'll find it well worth your time, and it's on the schedule every quarter. And so in the fall, we're really looking forward to getting more students involved. So please let us know. It's really a wonderful opportunity. Lots of resources. I think the fall we're going to do is invite some of the students back that participated in the past, and we're going to have at least one guest speaker. So I think you're going to find it quite engaging. So thank you, and love the opportunity.
David, you are mute.
Somebody had the wisdom to mute me. But thank you, Elaine. It's a great opportunity to work closely with her and with Messy Conversations. I think next up, if I have it correctly, we want to have the voices of some of the students that have been involved. We've been really lucky almost from the very inception to have students involved in the planning team. So we have Nabi and Clarence and Jacqueline.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nabi Supetran. I am a student and couple family therapy student here at Antioch, Seattle. Messy Conversations have always made me feel genuinely welcomed and valued as part of these conversations. The inclusive and supportive atmosphere made me feel that I have a seat at a table as a student who is a person of color and a child of immigrants, in which sharing my thoughts and speaking up wasn't a norm. Before Messy Conversations was established, I already had found my voice, and being part of the Messy Conversations community had given me the opportunity to practice the voice that I have on topics that matter, such as anti-racism and social justice. I've had the privilege to engage and collaborate with faculty, staff, and fellow students here at Antioch University, as well as our inspiring guest speakers. Listening to their diverse perspectives has motivated me to share my own thoughts as a student, and as well as personal experiences that shed light on some of my addressing factors. Being part of the Messy Conversations planning team has been a constant learning experience for me, especially in working behind the scenes. It's very rewarding to see everything come together when it's go time at Mondays at 4 p.m. I have also improved on my ability to collaborate, speak effectively, engage in discussions, and truly listen to others. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be here and to grow alongside passionate individuals who are dedicated to hold space for open and messy conversations. This experience has enriched my life, and it made me become more confident, compassionate, and open-minded person. And so I encourage all of us to continue to be open and vulnerable as we move forward with future Messy Conversations. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm truly grateful to be here.
Wow, that's hard to follow. This is the interesting part about Messy Conversations. Just like following Nabi and all that great information and details, you don't necessarily know you're in a messy conversation usually until it's almost too late. So that's what I appreciate about Messy Conversation throughout the years. Being a student that started at the campus at the same time that Messy Conversations began. So I thought it was something that always existed, and just really looked forward to each and every session genuinely. and what was going to come of it, and hopefully hoping and praying that something on campus would also come out of it, and also referring to post in the chat. I know that we do have a long way to go, and I also realize that we can't do it unless we get involved with Messy Conversations, and as students find platforms that help us stay engaged. Some of my favorite Messy Conversations are definitely those with Black Student Union and other students that had the opportunity to tell their stories, as well as the staff. I don't know how many of you here on the line today, but we did have one called Ask the White Guy, and the provost and Asa and David were very generous in their responses during that session. So all of the time that was spent there, and even when I did the ISP as well, I had a great time getting to know the team, getting to know my professors, and making sure that those conversations, each and every one that I had with the people on screen, behind the screen, meant something, and hopefully helped another professor understand something, or another student to stand up and find a voice. So that's why I love it.
My soul was a witness. My soul was a witness. My soul was a witness. The world witnessed the death, the modern day lynching of George Floyd. And I was broken. I was bent. I was angry. I didn't know what to do with myself, swirling around in this universe called Zoom. But thankfully, being a student at Antioch University, the professors were generous and caring and compassionate, and allowed us to voice our dismay, to voice our yearning, our pain in certain spaces. Then I got a call from this professor who said, we're doing something called Messy Conversations and you need to come in. Just come in. And I said, no, I don't want to go in. I don't want to. I don't want to sit in another inside circle, circling around an outer circle of white people trying to listen to me and learn from me, instead of them taking lead and them just dismantling this thing called racism. We did not put that together. They did. Why do I want to go to something called Messy Conversations? I don't want to go. And then I went to the first Messy Conversation. And I've gone to every Messy Conversation since then. I think I've missed one. And I was being transported from one hospital to another. And I guess I was so annoying to the planning committee, they decided to invite me on as a team member representing the student population. So that's my origin story and how I came to be in Messy Conversation. And it allowed me to vent, it allowed me to impart my rage, because I was very broken, being a Black male who was just triggered, whose experience was living 2 miles from Ku Klux Klan in the Jim Crow South, and then being brutalized by police on 3 separate occasions in urban environments. And then I had to witness another Black man being murdered in broad daylight for the world to see. My soul is a witness. My soul is a witness.
Thank you to Nabi and Jacqueline and Clarence, and to all the other students that have kept the blood of Messy Conversations circulating over this time. Next up, I think we're doing the slides. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Asa.
I'm gonna share some information after we just heard the orange stories and the experiences and the amazing power of being together in this space. I want to share with you something that feels more mundane, but very important because it's numbers of what has been done so far, thanks to the team, but thanks to all of you as well. So I'm posting on the chat, in the chat. Let me see if I find my chat because sometimes I lose it. Here's my chat. I'm posting in the chat this document, guys, for all of you. It's a PDF of the same slides that I'm sharing. It's just 3 or 4 slides, not a big deal, but it's something that we prepare for you. So what I'm sharing is the same, is in the chat. So looking back at the experience of what you just heard, we can see that we had so far, counting today, 79 sessions together, 12 quarters, average 5 sessions per quarter, and with an average 5 attendees per session. Today we have, I don't have the number right now, but we're in the same. And then we have 115 conversationalists attending or participating other than on the Messy Conversations team, and 32 guest expert organizations that have been willing to come share and be part of these sessions, and many of them repeating like more than once. From those 79 sessions, big proportion has been led by students, by faculty, and by expert guests. And to a different degree is with Antioch University leadership, the anti-racism the task force, and also our chairs in the program. Some of our programs within the undergraduate studies have come to share information about the curriculum, things that are happening. So, and we received that input as well. Staff has participated with, for example, admissions and reflection about admissions with some expert guests. And the Messy Conversations team has also led the sessions, but this leadership, this combination of leadership was very interesting for us to share with you, and that we would like to see how that came together, stuff like that. Then in terms of focus or themes, we noticed that Antioch leadership reporting has been present, as I just mentioned, but we have been emphasizing a lot the idea of anti-racist best practices and tools as a topic of conversations. For example, when we talked in the past about mindfulness, there was a session about holding emotions, another one about decolonizing the curriculum. Those are examples of sessions that have been emphasizing best practices. We also identified this theme that has been very, very important in our spaces. That is, we call it systemic approaches to anti-racism. And within those systemic approaches, examples, when we talk about, for example, Black feminism and media justice issues, like larger issues that are not necessarily right now in the news, but they are fundamental to understand this aspect of the topic of anti-racism. And within current issues, as you have seen, like we have been talking about voting rights and reproductive rights, and issues that you see very frequently discussed outside our set, like the 1619 project, that is an important project. So those are examples of that. We have artistic activism sessions, like poetry and music, and futurism in Africa, Afrofuturism, for example. And we have a few commemorative sessions. For example, when we were asking the community to discuss the pandemic, what happened with the pandemic, the 2-3 years of the pandemic, and talk about it, and another anniversary of Messy Conversations, or the anniversary of Gloria and Soldua, for example. And in terms of formats, we have been exploring lots of formats. I hope that you have enjoyed all these varieties, but we have a book club format. We have this presenting and reporting, that is one way to formally introduce people to something that is happening. But then we also have dialogue. That is different from interviewing, because interviewing, we generate questions with one another. And the round table would be more like a group of people having conversation, discussing among themselves and sharing with us. We have used Jamboard, we have used music, we have used video, listening, and poetry. And finally, we have 71 of our videos are posted in YouTube, 17,073 views. so far 124 plus hours of watching time, and we have 32 subscribers. And so we very humbly share this, and are excited to share it with you. And I'm gonna stop myself so that someone else keeps sharing stuff with me.
And I think that would be Asa.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. That was great, Rosa. Thank you. It's really interesting to see it like that. And I'm kind of floored by all the really touching speeches today. I didn't really prepare a statement like that, but instead I did bite off a little more than I could chew in attempting to put together a little highlight reel of our 3 years. As you just saw in the numbers and in those statistics, there's really no way we would be able to kind of capture all of that. So this is not meant to be, you know, a summary of the 3 years, but it is a little clip show. And I've also put together a little poster that I'll put in the chat of a kind of visual of the 3 years of our topics and flyer imagery. Let's see if this works. Yep. So it's a big file because there's a lot of images, but I posted those in the chat. One is just a combined version of the other two. And now I will share that video.
Tell you a little bit about how this got started. This is a cross-campus collaboration of undergraduate faculty as a way of starting conversations at this historic moment in time on anti-racism and racial justice. I like to think of this as an axe in the frozen sea moment. And in saying that, I'm quoting the early diaries of the young Franz Kafka, who said he wanted his writing to be like the axe in the frozen sea. And to me, this captures what's happening right now. It's like the axe, the Black Lives Matter movement is like the axe in the frozen sea of white obliviousness and denial. And this is the moment for us to pile on and to further this cause with everything we've got. So we thought, let's just get started.
There's a little quote from James Baldwin. The power of the white world is threatened whenever a Black man refuses to accept the white world's definitions. I would leave you with that. I think that it really mirrors or aligns with some of our thoughts as this was being developed, certainly with David and myself, and what I hear from students and what we're seeing in society right now.
Do the work, right? But when white people are doing the work, I think it's important to not give up on the work because it gets hard, because I know that it's hard. Because that's what we Black people have to go through every day. So, you know, just because the going gets hard doesn't mean that you get to go with it. So just stick with it and stick through it, and it'll make you a better person.
Yeah, what she said. I'm gonna leave a bomb, and then my computer is gonna run out of juice in a minute. So
Drop your bomb, Connor.
If I go away. You know, I think what everything that was said today is great, but unless and until Antioch is willing to look at the systems that it holds, and actually do that work, nothing's gonna shift. We can have conversations all day long, but if the system doesn't shift, right? And David, that I thought of that when you had said, we have inclusion at the table. Being at the table is not enough. You got to be in the kitchen seeing how things are cooked.
Amen.
And even going out to see, are we doing farm to table, or are we doing McDonald's on a plate? Like like those things are really really important.
I think that in the context of an institution that has named itself and has a mission that focuses on social justice, it becomes very easy for us to rest on our laurels, to say, well, the words are on the wall, so I'm good and we're all good and we're all doing the right thing. And I think that that becomes the place of greatest challenge for us, because what being anti-racist is really asking us to do is to say, let's set aside all those things that we believe to be true about ourselves and look very carefully at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and actually ask ourselves the question that maybe we don't ask ourselves often enough: why are we doing things the way we're doing them?
I just want to say, first of all, I'm just incredibly grateful for everyone's contribution today. And I'm going to hope that many of you know, but I'm provost, so that makes me an administrator and not a faculty member here, but I was a faculty member.
Who are you?
What?
Uh-oh.
Well, I want to just say, I agree with a lot of the comments that have been made, and I want to make an observation. I hope it's helpful. I would love to see far more people on this too, and I do think the quality of the conversation has been so good. I can't, a little bit to Kirsten's point, I can't say anything other than I'm just grateful that we're having the conversations we're having with the people we're having, because I think you all recognize the importance of relationship. The more we have relationship with each other that brings people in or brings us information to each other, I think the more the impact will be. It's not only numbers, it's the quality of the relationships we have in the community we've been. There's a Harvard professor, Heifetz, that talks about when you're hearing people, listen to the song behind the words. And the song I hear behind the words you folks are saying is, you care deeply about this anti-racism work, you care deeply about social justice, and you wish we could get that kind of commitment out of everyone. And I'll have to admit, I do too. It's a deep longing. It hurts me that we don't have that, but it also encourages me to see that you folks are doing this work and you care so deeply, because without that, we're not going to make it happen. So I hope what you're also hearing is the song behind the words that you're saying is you care, and you're also grateful to be caring, and that there are people in this fight with you.
At this particular moment in our history, in our collective history, what's the crucial work of womanism in your view at this time in this place?
Well, I have to say that everything that I see really going to the streets, that's womanism. Black Lives Matter, that's womanism at its core. And, literally just as mothers, primarily, right, having to sit with the way that piece of coal, that piece of lead landed in your heart and in your stomach when we hear this acquittal of George Zimmerman, who murdered Trayvon Martin. That was, I still feel it. That just said, no, 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 no. We just no, right? And pouring out into the streets, really, to just, you know, you just wanted to get out of your skin almost. It was just the worst day. But then, as always, through this trauma, here comes, you know, here comes the traditions. These are our old traditions. You know, that we reclaim them, we have formalized them now, we got them in order, but here they come. Well, what are we gonna do? Yes, we're feeling it, but what do we do with that emotion? And Black women expressing their pain and their rage and their resilience and our resilience, our ability, our fight. Because there are a lot of voices that are included. Again, you know, we're not looking to recreate a hierarchy, and we want to develop young people. So that's the work. And then grace. You know,
yeah,
about you know, grace and balance.
I think Messy Conversation provides an opportunity for our community to come together to discuss critical issues, which may at times be messy and uncomfortable. So we're delighted that we have this new edition, the book club component. And our first selection, I think, is extremely timely as we find ourselves, historically speaking, not only is this African American History Month, but African Americans in all US citizens find themselves in a position where white supremacy is on the rise, where democracy, our very democracy at stake. And we're looking at supremacists who feels that taking away the vote of Americans, particularly African Americans, is something that is acceptable.
And I think that one of the real challenges is that in psychology, particularly in the clinical applications of psychology, we are often more ready to assume the experience of a person of European descent as being reality, and the experience of someone who belongs to a marginalized group as not being so. And that is dangerous. I hope that answers your question, Gabriel.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm so grateful. I know it's a Monday and the end of the day, and all of you could be somewhere. So I'm just grateful that you're here with us. And Lisa, thank you so much for just always extending the invitation. As much as you will extend it, I will reach back and grab it. So, you know, I'm honored because I understand that, you know, just the role that Antioch plays in our community and in this world. And we need spaces to break the mold, to be, you know, to surface radical alternatives to the status quo in so many ways.
Let's get started. So I'll say this last thing. We kind of look at Solange. We'll come back to her being this millennial woman. She's under 40. That song came out in her early 30s, sort of talking about this idea of Black women's anger. And we want to look to these literary giants as well, June Jordan, Toni Morris, and Audre Lorde, to see sort of what they have to say about the same idea. And then we're going to talk a little bit about legacy and modern day or present day impact of it. Okay. So Janica, talk to me. Why are Black women so angry? And why do you believe that anger is righteous?
Okay. So first want to say thank you all for having me in the space. Really excited about this conversation and where this kind of idea of thinking about anger came from. First was that I wrote a whole book, my first book, Freedom Narratives of African American Women, about these kind of freedom journeys of Black women who were enslaved, who sought their own, who paid for their own freedom, who decided not to have children to bring them into the institution of enslavement, all of these narratives. And I realized I didn't write about feelings at all. And I think it was a deliberate decision. How were these women able to protect them? What should have felt as a result of the circumstances. I found one sentence where I said Black had their own feelings, passions, plans, goals, and anxieties that only taking up their own pens could allow them to reveal. And so this conversation about anger comes from what has been not only repressed as a response, but that the world has not created space from. And so when we're thinking about anger, I'm also thinking about the fact that Black women haven't had a space to express many emotions. This response of having to be literally on all the time, but also, as you know, people say, having a lot going on.
Always felt that you have to be in your community and you have to express what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what is going on around you. And that is the best way to be creative and contributive as an artist. It's the best way then to make a contribution to your community, to experience what's happening and try and feed that back artistically. There are times when he would, in performances, he would introduce a piece, not by giving the name of a composition, but he would turn to the audience and then he'd say, "This is just another one you wrote through us."
And you're getting lots of love in the chat.
Oh, yay. I love being here. It's really nice. And I love, anything called messy, I'm all in.
Well, we haven't been real messy yet, I don't think.
It's how you define messy.
Great to have a conversation. I love the topic, messy conversations, because we absolutely have to have some messy conversations surrounding reproductive justice. But to do that, I kind of want to do some definitions of what I mean and what we mean when we say reproductive justice. What Black males have to deal with this? Why are we bringing Black men into this conversation?
I think exactly to my point before about just like sitting back and reflecting and thinking about where the different identities that the Black male holds, right? In just their existence, right? Like their dads, their sons, their brothers, their all of these different things. And then identifying those identities and the intersection that they play with the Black woman and essentially the Black family, I think it's important.
The first Black bookstore was in 1834, founded by David Ruckey, a Black abolitionist. And that's the first bookstore. So talking about on the shoulders of giants. So we really appreciate what you're doing. And what about a little background and why a Black bookstore?
You can talk about all the problems, but we have to focus on solutions. And we consider having a Black bookstore is progressive to be able to change the conversation. books bring a whole world of opportunity. And like me personally, I graduated from USC. I had a degree, but I didn't have a knowledge of self. And when we first started in this book business, most of the books were self-published. A lot of these books you couldn't find in mainstream bookstores. And I think that, you know, knowledge of self is important in order to understand your ancestors, understand your past, and in order to be able to chart out a roadmap into the future, you know.
I come from a long line of strong women who know how to birth and load rifles all at the same time, who juggle babies and careers and swallowed whole. Every man that ever learned to raise his fist, I think a fist, I think a woman, the unclenched skin of a toothless hand. When he opened his hand and showed me her teeth, I remember the powerlessness, my throat a voiceless song. I remember the wedding day, how somehow Mrs. made it feel like woman. And then the surgery, right? In the house, I was thrown out of the bruises that bloomed on my body in the morning when I say, I come from a long line of strong women. I mean, I come from fire breathers, which means I come from dragons, which means I come from beings that slay. There is no gun to erase you here. These are not daddy issues, not my brokenness. Yo, this is a fist. Slice of the sky, middle finger and ring finger all side by side. When I say, I come from a long line of strong women. I mean, I died 1,000 times, y'all, and I always come back.
A long anticipated panel, I think, and we are really glad to share the messiness that is AAPI. We all relate to that term very differently. And so we're just glad that you'll be here to experience that messiness with us. We also just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, as this is a panel, we are lacking in a little diversity in terms of the representation that's here. I'm Japanese, and we're, you know, I think the goal is to just open the door to this conversation. Obviously, it's one that's been had for generations before us and hopefully for generations to come. But, you know, we're just trying to navigate this as best we can. So thank you for your grace.
Thank you both for sharing. And as I listened to you, Christina, you know, the words other and label was stood out to me. Being othered has made me become part of the group that I identify with, and that comes with the label. And so I identify as Filipino American, and sometimes I would interchange it with Asian American and Filipino American.
Clear for me, like what to take and then what to reject when it comes to the difference of culture. Like I can see the difference very clearly because I grew up most of my life in Korea. But like I cannot imagine you guys living like between or living two cultures at the same time. Like it must be really hard. So thank you for sharing you guys' struggling and then experiences.
You mentioned James Baldwin and Zora Neale Hurston. You drop another name or two on us that you treat in the workshop?
We talk about Albert Murray, who Ralph Ellison, who was a fiction writer, but really drew a lot of his novel from the life, you know, the real life in Harlem. We talk about Gwendolyn Brooks, who, you know, because poetry is also a form of nonfiction, and she wrote really fiercely about not just the kind of hard life of Black folks in Chicago, but about humanity, about people. And it's a really hard balance to strike. And she's one of, those are two other people that we focus on. We also focus on in kind of briefly hip hop, because that is also about the South. It is commercialized. It is, you know, sometimes falls prey to the stereotypes, etc. But it is nonfiction. So we focus on that as well.
History in Mexico with the artists such as Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera, and really importantly, Jose Guadalupe Posada, who really became a political voice during the Days of the Dead, where he really he skewered the politicians and he spoke to the people in general, like the masses who were often illiterate. And I talk about what he did and how he did it, and during the Days of the Dead, where everyone is the same in the grave. So you don't have any kind of distinction because you're all going to head that way. We're all going to head that way.
So that's a kind of strange place to end it. We're all going to head that way, but I know we're short on time, so I won't say too much more. But I'm hoping to clean that up a bit. I wanted to note the last session made it almost through without a mistake, but that last session was actually the undergrad curriculum, anti-racism in the undergrad curriculum. So that'll be corrected, and we'll get it up on YouTube, I think, highlight reel. And yeah, we only have 8 minutes left, so I know we definitely want to get some ideas for going forward and hear from everyone else. So I'll pass it back to Rosa.
Thank you, Asa. Thank you. Great job. I'm going to share with you a Jamboard screen, and the link to the Jamboard screen is going to be posted in the chat. So for you participate, I'm going to provide some instructions for you to request your input. And I'm going to share my screen right away. Can anyone put the link on the chat? Thank you. And there we go. Here we are. Okay, this is the Jamboard, guys. You're going to find yourselves, you follow the link, you will find yourselves right here. And this is our 3-year shared courageous conversations, courageous messy conversation space. To navigate the Jamboard, to know where to create a sticky note and how to create it, you follow these arrows here to go to the place we're going to point out. Okay, but for now, I just want to give you this. The Jamboard, the idea of the Jamboard in this Jamboard is to distill your thoughts, feelings, or experiences into a 6-word or so essay, like a tiny one, story or statement in response to the prompts that are going to be presented. And then you will have a few minutes to write those words on one sticky note, and you may post more than one note if you have time. This is an example of, this is how you create your notes here. If I created a note, it would look like this. These are 6 or so words. These are my 6 or so words as a sticky. And then I want to acknowledge that this idea of having a 6-word essay in a card came from the Race Card Project. Is a very interesting initiative by Michelle Norris, an award-winning journalist. So we borrowed this idea, adapted here, and we want to credit it because it's wonderful. And we're gonna get started with our first prompt that is here. To navigate the prompts, guys, please use this to come to this slide. This is the slide where you want to post your first sticky. This is the sticky icon to create your sticky. And your first prompt is, if you could share with us a memorable aspect about messy conversations according to yourself, to your own. You have a few minutes to share your idea and post it here in this particular screen. Thank you for contributing so far. We have a couple of more prompts that you will be able to share. We would like to have the opportunity. And for those of you that need to leave earlier, consider staying a bit longer after 5 because we have a raffle. Don't go away. Okay. Who would like to point out one sticky that resonates the most with you guys? The very least one from this screen. Anyone?
I would like to go.
Thank you, Nabi.
What I wrote was hearing perspectives of Antioch University students. I started at Antioch in 2018, and then transitioned into being a grad student during fall of 2020. And being isolated was a lot already. And one that came out of it was during COVID was the messy conversations and showing up here, hearing other students' successful stories, but also the struggles within the system and within Antioch. Made me not feel alone, that, oh, you struggle with that too, or you experience that too. So hearing those made me feel like, oh, I have a community that I can talk to. That's how I find and get to meet other people. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Nabi. Thank you to you. And Nabi, would you like to share this other prompt?
Yes, thank you. And so again, at the top where it says 611, you can use that to navigate the slide, and onto your left is how you would be able to put your post-it note. And the prompt is, what is the impact of messy conversations on your personal, professional, or political lives? And I will start the timer now. For 3 minutes.
6 words or less or more. I would like to comment on this sticky about how to navigate opposing conversations respectfully. because this skill or this ability or this willingness to approach things that way, I believe it operates in the real world, external to us, but also inside of us. And then we can have those internal opposing conversations internally. And that's very healthy. And that's something that I encourage students when we're having conversations in class. It's like, why don't you get in your inner world and try to see how that would look in a struggle way instead of a convincing factor. And it's a pretty interesting processes because it works. So whoever posted this, remind me of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa, for your perspective. It's just the end of our 3-minute timer. I'd like to invite one person who'd like to kind of expand on their notes or comment once again.
I'll go since I put it in the chat. I really, I do like the sticky note that someone mentioned, and I wish we had another hour so the professors could tell us the things that they were able to implement in their classrooms to make the classrooms better. But that is a key sticky. It should be like red.
Are you proposing an easy conversation on that topic?
I am.
That's what you're doing. Thank you so much. Asa?
Yes, so we definitely wanted to have this space. So for our third prompt, we wanted to create a space for envisioning the future of messy conversations. Which directions do you want to see it go in? This could be, conversation topic ideas, or if there were certain formats that you especially liked, or wanted to see anything. We are expanding a bit in how we've approached some of the conversations. So I agree with Jacqueline. I wish we had more time for this one. I'd love to hear input.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Sneak peek.
No, it was just my mouse. My mouse.
I know we are past time and we're losing people, but if anyone would like to speak to this, I definitely see being able to be in dialogue with the other attendees more, getting engaged for active change at Antioch, and the idea of MCs that build on one another instead of just one and dones. And thank you all for attending. We'll see you again. We're not stopping.
Raffle time. We lost some names here. So if someone that is not here gets the gift, that's not okay. And the gift is one gift certificate. Albert Erdinas, you got a gift certificate for a book because you don't have any books in your bookcase. Okay, is this the only raffle?
I would like to propose this, Elaine. I would like to, for us to donate a book on behalf of our MC committee, a signed copy of Light and Legacy, Sisters of Black Girlhood and Liberation, Janica Bowen Lewis.
Oh, so
it'll be a signed copy.
Signed copy.
Personalized, so yes.
Let's pin it.
I'll put my magic on it.
Jean got it's not a messy gift. Well, it's a messy gift because it's a book. Okay, I'm gonna stop myself. Yeah. Thank you for your patience and presence and warmth.
And I know our numbers have diminished about half of where we were earlier, but thank you for making the time to be together, to think about some of the work that we've done, and to share your vision of some of the work that we need to take up this next year. Grateful to have you all, grateful to be in this relationship with you all. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Be in contact if you have any ideas that you'd like to see Messy Conversations around, or any conversationalists that you really want us to bring in, and we'll do all we can to build on that. Really grateful for all of you. Thank you. See you in October.
I want to add a final shout out to Asa and Rosa and Nabi and all of the group that made what you saw today possible. It was brilliant and beautiful.
Fantastic.
So much.
And thanks for everyone coming. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, well done, everybody.
Wow.
I did not.
Amazing.
I did not realize my phone was recording just up at the ceiling.
Hey, so that was fabulous.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's like close. It's close to being really good. So I do want to like polish it up before we put it online. But thank you.
It's really cool.
And the whole concept